Hey, I'm Allison. I'm a reading specialist and the author of the blog Learning at the Primary Pond, and I'm coming to you in this video to do a little phonics Q&A. And I actually started this video and was a couple minutes in, but we were having technical issues, so we're just gonna rewind and hope that everything goes more smoothly this time. If you're just joining me for the first time, what I was sharing is that I'm going to share some information, answer some questions about my new phonics program from Sounds to Spelling, and also answer questions about phonics in general. In addition to that, I'm going to have some questions for you to answer because at the end, I'm going to do an Amazon gift card giveaway. And what I'll do to pull a winner is I'll just scroll through everybody who has commented and I will choose a winner from that. So I'll do a question, I'll answer a question, and then I'll ask you a question and we'll just go back and forth. If you're joining me for the second time, thank you so much for coming back. I'm so sorry about the sound issues. If you wouldn't mind, would you just let me know in the comments if you can hear me? Hopefully I'm not talking to myself again. Hopefully it'll be smooth sailing this time. So to rewind a little bit, since I know that some of you could not hear me, the question that I was answering first was what is From Sounds to Spelling? So From Sounds to Spelling is a systematic, explicit, multisensory phonics program for K2. It also addresses phonological awareness, spelling for first and second grade, how to break words up into syllables, a little bit of handwriting, a little bit of vocabulary. So it's phonics, but it also, it can be so much more if you want to use all of those components. This came out of my own need to have phonics materials that are engaging and followed a systematic scope and sequence, because for so long I was piecing things together. I'd like some of one program, but then it didn't quite have everything I needed. So then I'd pull in something here, and it's just really time consuming, and I feel like it's so much better for kids when we have something clear that we can follow, so we're not missing anything, we're not creating any gaps for them. And so that's kind of where this came from, but it also came from just talking to so many other primary teachers who had the same need, whether they didn't have a phonics program at all, or maybe they had one, but like me, they were pulling all things together. They just really felt a need for this as well. So between all of our needs, that's why I decided to go for it. I've kind of been working on it for a couple of years, but the pre-sale is currently on now through April 24th, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But when I say From Sounds to Spelling, that's what that is. Hey, Lynette, so glad you're here. Carol, thank you so much for letting me know that you can hear me. If you're just joining me, I'm going to answer some questions about the program, but throughout, please feel free to ask questions about the program or just about teaching phonics in general. So feel free to throw those in there. And once I get through my stuff, I'll answer those. And like I said before, I'm also going to have some questions for you. And when you answer, your comment will automatically be entered into a drawing for that Amazon gift card. All right, so I think I answered what is From Sounds to Spelling. Now I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you, if you're a classroom teacher, do you primarily teach phonics whole group, small group, or both? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. And again, that will automatically enter you into the Amazon gift card giveaway, which I'll be doing at the end. Just curious what everybody does. From Sounds to Spelling can be used either whole group or small group. I recommend small group just because you can differentiate, and that is a best practice for phonics instruction, but of course that's up to you, and the program can be used either way. All right, so let's move on to the next question that I wanted to answer about the program, and that is, what does the program include? So the program includes a lot of stuff, like I mentioned, but there are complete lesson plans all written out for you. Like I said, they're flexible. You can do them whole group, you can do them small group. I always give suggestions for differentiation as well as materials to actually differentiate. There's picture and word sorts depending on what level you're at. There's decodable books or passages. Obviously with kindergarten at the beginning of the year, many kids aren't decoding much, so that kind of happens later on. But for, mid-kindergarten and up, there's those decodable texts. There's phonics posters and visuals. I brought all this stuff and I should be showing it to you. There's just visuals like this. They also have like a half-page version to save space. That was a request from our Facebook group. What else? There's games for independent practice. This is stuff that you could do in small group. You could also have the kids do on their own to kind of practice all the stuff that you're teaching. There are brief vocabulary activities as well. There's, decodable text. This is a second grade example that really allows you, like, We're working on OU and OW, so the title is Mouse the Brown Hound. There's lots of OU and OW words in here. The kids read it, they look for those words, they talk about the text with a partner, and then they answer some questions. So that's kind of what that looks like. And then there's just kind of some basic, straightforward stuff you can print and send home if you do send home homework, or just if you need something quick to practice that's no prep. I try to make the stuff, you know, if there is an option for an activity that has more prep, I try to also include something that's low prep for you to choose as well. Okay, awesome. I see a lot of people responding. Whole group and small group, combination. Carol's an interventionist, small group and one-on-one. So it looks like a combo. Hey, Lauren, so glad you're here. Lauren says, I purchased the program and love what I've seen so far. Thank you, Lauren. You've been awesome and so helpful in our Facebook group too. I do have a Facebook group for phonics in general, but also the program. I don't know what the URL is off the top of my head, but I can leave it in here afterward if you'd like to join. The focus of that group is really just all about phonics. So if you have anything to share, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask in there. All right, so now it's time for a question for you. And my question is, do you have something from your school that tells you a systematic, or that gives you a systematic scope and sequence? It could be from your school, it could be a program that you use. Let me know in the comments. And again, every comment is an entry into that Amazon gift card giveaway. So let me know just yes or no. Awesome, Nancy. Nancy says, I purchased the first grade program and can't wait to get started in my class. It looks amazing. Thank you, Nancy. I'm so excited. All right. So while you're answering that, I'm going to go on to my next question. But do remember that if you have questions about the program or teaching phonics in general, feel free to slide them in the comments and I will scroll back and get to them as well. Hey, Dee, can you tell me, when you say EAL, kiddies, do you mean, is that English language learners? There's so many acronyms in education, sometimes I can't keep up. All right, so, okay, next question, speaking of scope and sequence, is what is the scope and sequence? The scope and sequence of the program is included in the informational packet, and I gave you a little link in this post, so you should be able to grab it from there. Scroll through, and then there's going to be a kindergarten, first grade, and second grade scope and sequence that shows you the phonics patterns. Now there are, the full program is going to have like a scope and sequence for phonological awareness as well, and high frequency words, but both of those things can be flexible. Maybe you have a phonological awareness program that you love, that's great, you can continue using that, it's really up to you. Maybe you have your own high frequency word list that you need to follow, again, that works as well. But the phonics patterns that are covered, if you happen to need a scope and sequence or you just want to look at it, take a look at what I have in the informational packet. That is based on research about just how children develop in terms of their spelling in the English language. And the pacing of that scope and sequence, I have it laid out week by week. But what I want you to know is that that pacing is completely flexible. So really, when I lay it out week by week, I don't necessarily expect you to follow it like that. Can you follow it like that? Sure. However, phonics, a best practice for teaching phonics is that we adapt our pacing to meet individual kids' needs. So for example, in an ideal situation, you would be able to do some small group work where some of your kids may be already for like vowel teams, just like a first grade example, but then some kids are still maybe working on some of those like short vowel sounds. And so ideally we can differentiate our instruction and kids are progressing along that same scope and sequence, but they're at different places in that scope and sequence. And that's exactly what you can do with the program if you'd like it to do. So again, that scope and sequence is in the informational packet and I stuck the link up there. Alrighty, let's go ahead and I'll ask you a question so you can get another entry in for your Amazon gift card. My question now is, so we got like kind of like a mix of sort of, kind of have a scope and sequence. My question now is, when you finished your teacher preparation program, whenever that was, do you feel like you had the skills and knowledge you needed to teach phonics effectively? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. And meanwhile, I want to answer Dee's question. Hey, Dee. Oh, Lauren, I didn't know you purchased the phonics on your own. That is motivation. I don't know if I checked the price on that, but that's a lot. Motivation. All right, so D is asking about English language learners, and actually, D, that's awesome because that's a question that I had that I wanted to answer. So let me just look at my notes here, what I said. So when it comes to English language learners or kids who are learning English as a second language, for a lot of my teaching career, I have worked with those students. So when I'm creating, I always kind of have them in mind, like what would I be doing with my ELLs or what have I done with my ELLs? And so when there is a situation where I feel like something is more appropriate or less appropriate for ELLs, I always try to include that in the lesson plan so that you kind of know, like, okay, I need to adjust this. But generally speaking, there's some things that are helpful for English language learners, and those things are visual aids, which, like I said, the Phonics program has plenty of, and oral language practice, which the Phonics program has plenty of. Kids are verbalizing stuff. They're talking about those decodable passages. So there's absolutely opportunities for oral language, which is great for ELLs. There's also the vocabulary instruction. So I wasn't setting out to create a vocabulary program, but I realized that when I do a lot of like phonics and spelling instruction, I work on vocabulary with my kids as well, because there's often words that I want them to read or write that are unfamiliar to them. So for ELLs, what I would say is some of those words that are suggested in the vocabulary parts, they could be accessible to them, but you may find that you need to take a little bit more time and focus on, like teaching the names of the pictures of things. Like there's so many pictures used that that's a great opportunity. There are absolutely opportunities for you to kind of adjust the program and focus more on vocab, oral language, and in the lesson plans I try to make those suggestions so that you just kind of have an idea of how you can better support your ELLs. So kind of a long answer to that, but I hope that is helpful. Cindy also says her population is 80% ELLs. Alyssa says, I don't think I would have done an adequate job teaching phonics right out of school without a curriculum. Lauren says, amazing student teaching experience in pre-K. And that helped a lot. I feel like a lot of teachers are not adequately prepared. I was very happy with my undergraduate literacy program and my graduate literacy program, but still felt unprepared and had to do a lot of learning and get training and read on my own. So it's definitely been a journey. All right, so you can feel free to keep answering my question. Coming back to my question, it was, did you feel prepared coming out of your teacher preparation program to teach phonics? And every comment here is counting as an entry into the Amazon gift card giveaway, which I will do at the end here. Leah says, not my undergrad. I relied heavily on curriculum. It wasn't until I got my master's in reading to feel better prepared and still learning. Yes, learning all the time. Lori also has a large ELL population. Okay, so another question that I get asked about the program from Sounds to Spelling is this research-based? Because often we have to follow programs that are based on research and all of that. So if you take, is this research-based to mean, is this based on research? Then absolutely yes. If that's an issue for you or concern, I would look in the informational packet, look at the last 2 pages. The second to last page lists out, I've done just like a huge review of research and read so much, and that second to last page lists out best practices for teaching phonics that are supported by tons and tons of research. So it will just kind of tell you stuff like, systematic and sequential and just explicit and all sort of different things. And even things about teaching high frequency words, how to best teach them. Because I know that for me, that was one area that I just didn't, high frequency words, I kind of thought it was like memorize, memorize, memorize. And there is some memorization required, but there's so much more to it. And I talk about that a little bit on that second to last page, the research around that, and just all the research that guided the creation of this program. And then on the last page of that informational packet, I have all my sources for you. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to, message me or comment here or email me. But in a nutshell, this program is absolutely based on research. My goal also is to provide some evidence for its efficacy. And so the way that I'm doing that is next year will be, for a lot of teachers, the first year that they'll be implementing the program, so 2020 to 2021. After the pre-sale period is over, which again, that ends on April 24th at the end of the day, I'm going to contact everybody who has purchased and just say, hey, I'm going to be doing a study during this school year, and ask you a couple questions. And then if you're interested in participating, you can let me know. And people that are chosen for the study will actually get their whole purchase refunded. So they'll end up with the program for free. So if you have pre-purchased, or if you pre-purchase by April 24th, keep an eye out for that email, because I am going to write you and just say, hey, are you interested? And I'll choose teachers to participate in the study from there. And so after that, I will be able to share research with you. And of course, I've seen from my own, my own teacher research that yes, this stuff works with kids. I've been doing it for years, but I am excited to get that study going. So if you're a pre-purchaser, I can't say that word today, keep an eye out for that email for sure. And I will also share the results of that study, of course, after it's complete. Kind of thinking long term, it won't be for a year from now, but I absolutely will share those results. All right, so let me ask you a question. Let's see. My question for you is, do you even have a phonics program at your school? Because I've talked to so many people who actually don't have one. So just type yes or no in the comments. Awesome, Cheryl, I'm so glad you're excited about the first grade version. Mariama used Wilson's, yes, Wilson. So I've used Wilson as well. Definitely needed a lot of additions, but I learned a lot from teaching Wilson. Okay. Thank you, Caroline. You're so sweet. All right, so while you're typing your answers, I'm going to go ahead and, so remember the question was, do you have a phonics program at all at your school? So I'm going to go ahead and answer a little bit more about the pre-sale. So what is the pre-sale? When is it happening? It's going on now. So if you go to fromsoundstospelling.com, you can read more. What I wanted to do is I knew that I was launching the full thing in September. That's been the plan for a long time. But what I wanted to do is to give you an opportunity to purchase now at a much discounted price, and then also get access to the materials over the summer, because while, the whole thing will be available, like, the whole package in September, I know that it's so helpful to just get started, and there's going to be professional development videos in there for you to watch. And a lot of that, as much as I like to say, like, go relax, enjoy your summer, I know that a lot of that prep and that time you have is over the summer. So that's why I decided to do a pre-sale. So right now it's discounted, and you'll get the final unit in each grade level. So if you teach kindergarten, you'll get unit 4, first grade is unit 4, and then second grade is unit 5. Second grade just has 5 units, just the way I broke it up. The other 2 have 4. So you get the final unit of whichever grade. So that's available to you now, and I did a whole other video, which I can link to, that talks about teaching phonics remotely, to kind of show you how to start using those materials if you're teaching at home. So I can share that video link with you as well. But anyway, talking about the pre-sale. So that's what you get if you purchase now. And then by the end of June, you will have the first unit for sure, and the rest of the units are coming in July and August. And you will be set to go, hopefully, for next school year. You definitely will be. I say hopefully because I know we don't really know what's coming in the future, kind of uncertain times, but you will have that phonics stuff. You'll be able to watch the videos and get into it. So I'm really excited to share that with you. And that's why I did the pre-sale, just to give you an opportunity to get it in advance of September. So let's see. One other question that I've gotten is, Lori, great question. I will definitely want to answer that in a second. What if I don't know, I'm saying a question that I have been asked, what if I don't know what grade I'm teaching? Because I have a number of teachers who, I've looked at the materials and they're like, yes, I definitely want this. I definitely want to take advantage of the pre-sale price, but they don't know what grade they're teaching at. So in this case, what I'm having them do is they can email me, and I'm going to put my email in a comment right here. It's Allison with 1 L at learningattheprimarypond.com. If you don't know what grade you're teaching, but you want to make sure that you get that pre-sale price, you can email me. And what we'll do is we'll set up like a special invoice for you. And then at the time that you know what grade you're teaching, then you just let us know. Email that same email address, Allison at learningattheprimarypond.com, and you will get set up with your login. So that way, I know some teachers don't find out until May or even June. That is A-okay. Just email me. I'll get you set up. And then once you know what grade you're teaching, then I'll give you the login. So that's how we are handling that. Okay, Lori, great question. Would this fit into an intervention program and moving from kinder to a reading intervention? Great question. So absolutely yes, as long as you don't have, I would say, too much other stuff that you have to implement in intervention. So if I were to use this program to do intervention, that's amazing because you can use the placement test that's going to be available in like a month or two, and you can test your groups and figure out, okay, I need to start here in the program or I need to start here. So that's ideal because you can really tailor it to what they need. I would also supplement it with some other text reading, just reading different level texts or even more decodable readers. So I'd be wanting to do more reading practice for sure, Lori, but yes, you can absolutely follow this with your small group reading intervention, even one-on-one. It should be very easy to implement as is for sure. Alrighty, hopefully I have not missed any other questions. Feel free to type it again if I missed your question. Jody Ann just says, for her phonics program, we just use this and that. I don't like that. That is exactly where I was, Jody. She says, I want a program that's laid out with lesson plans and materials in the order that we should teach it. Yes, totally feel you there. Okay. My last question that I want to answer that I've been getting asked, and then I'll open it up for other questions. I'll ask you a question. We'll also do our gift card giveaway. Is there a discount for purchasing more than one grade level? So right now when you go on the site from soundsofspelling.com, it'll give you the option to do kindergarten, first grade, second grade, or K2. So those are the options. Some teachers have told me that they want K and 1, or they want first and second. I can't add it to the site because Helen, my designer who has dealt with all that stuff, she has worked so hard and so many hours to get that set up that we're not able to add anything more at this time, but I can still give you a $20 discount. So if you're going to or have already purchased 2 grade levels, just email that email address. Again, it's alison@learning@theprimarypond.com. Email me at that address and just say, hey, I want K and 1 or I want first and second, and we will give you the coupon code that you can put in for your second purchase. So you can get a discount for purchasing 2 grade levels if that's something that you need, even though it's not on the site. You just need to email me and we will get you set up. All right, so I think that's all the questions that I had planned out, but again, feel free to type questions about the program, about teaching phonics in general, and I'm going to go ahead and ask my last question so I can then do the Amazon gift card giveaway. So, last question, and what I would love to know is, are you currently teaching phonics remotely? Is that a subject or is that something that you are working on right now? I know that we're kind of all over the place in what we're all doing in terms of remote teaching or virtual learning or just kind of trying to hang in there, but I'm curious to know if you are working on phonics remotely. And do remember that I have that other video, somebody said they just watched it, that I did, I think last week, about different strategies and activities that you can do to teach phonics remotely. In that video, I also show you a few more examples of From Sounds to Spelling. So if you're curious about that, you can look at that. It's on my Facebook page, Learning at the Primary Pond, as well. Michelle, next gen standards. So when I think of next generation standards, I think of science standards, but I could be wrong. There might be ELA standards. So I included the Common Core standards that match up, but I can take a look, Michelle, and see if the next generation standards, if it kind of lines up with that. Awesome. Okay, so yes, teaching phonics remotely. Marielle says no, yes. Vicki, yes, for purchasing From Sounds to Spelling for grade 2, there's already that discount that's built in. So what I was just saying is there's nothing on the site to get K1 or first and second. That's what you have to email me for at the code. If you want K2, the discount's already built in and it's already set up for you to go. Okay, Mariama says, I teach first grade and usually like buying bundles to ensure that I have materials that target all the different levels I teach. Absolutely makes sense. What is your recommendation knowing that I also use the Wilson program? Okay, Mariama. So are you thinking, so I think that it will go well with Wilson for sure, because if anybody else knows Wilson, it's just kind of like, you can use it with adult learners who have reading disabilities or dyslexia even, so it's kind of like not bare bones. There's a lot of great stuff in there, but it's maybe not as primary friendly. So I absolutely think that you could use it with there. So Mariama, I'm wondering, are your kids kind of, do they, when they come in, like what's their knowledge usually? Carol says, I'm getting ready to jump off the cliff with teaching phonics remotely. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Carol. Or maybe you meant you're just getting started. Definitely watch that video that I did the other day for sure. Fatima says, yes, they're pre-recorded video. Natasha, trying to get it all in, so tricky. Good, Andrea, I'm so glad that video was helpful. Lauren says, not remotely, thank goodness. It is tricky for sure. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pull my Amazon gift card winner. Feel free to continue typing your answers to questions, or if you have a question about the program or anything phonics related, please feel free to type that in. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna scroll, and whoever I land on is going to get that gift card. And it's Amazon because I was like, what do I wanna give away? Oh, we're all Amazoning right now, or at least a lot of us in the US are. All right, my winner is Muriel. Am I saying that correctly? Muriel Hunt Powell. Muriel, please email me. Again, it's Allison, ALISON, at learningattheprimarypond.com. Please email me and I will send you your gift card. Congratulations. Vicki says, been trying to teach phonics remotely. It is tricky. Michelle says, that's awesome. So I have gotten that same training, Michelle. MCU Orton Gillingham, yes, absolutely. So the one thing is that my scope and sequence is a little bit different from IMSE's scope and sequence. However, I do think, I'm just trying to think back to how it differs. It differs somewhat, but not drastically. If you feel, Michelle, that you need games and just like the stuff, because IMSE gives you, they give you a lot of stuff, but they don't, there's still a lot of stuff that you have to make. That would take the making away, if that makes sense. Awesome, Vicki. Mariama says, we all use the same program, so they have background on phonics, but I do have the few that struggle and need more support. Kids in reading levels as low as A or B in first. So Mariama, at the beginning of the first grade program, I am going to include extra materials for the kids that need more support, but I would take a look at the scope and sequence that's in that informational packet, and again, the link is up there, and then kind of see like where you think they might fall. And you can email me, and we've emailed before, we can talk about that too if that would be helpful. All right, hopefully, let me see if I have, okay, so Cheryl has a question, and Cheryl's question is, what about integrating with Letterland? So I have heard of Letterland. I do not know Letterland, so I'm not 100% sure what's in there. But Cheryl, if you feel like you need more alphabet activities, more games, I don't know how far Letterland goes, because mine goes beyond the letters. It does go into word families, and it goes into the very end of the year, like blends, and it has digraphs. So if you need something that goes beyond the alphabet, Cheryl, that might be an option. Or Cheryl, what you could do is in September, if you have stuff for the alphabet and you're like, I'm good, in September you do have the option of buying unit by unit. Right now I don't have that available simply because it's just the pre-sale, but in September, if you need just certain units and not others, that is an option too. All right, well, I am hoping that I did not miss anybody's question. I will scroll back through and make sure later, but if you think of a question later, do feel free to come back and stick it in here, and I'll be happy to answer. Again, the pre-sale is going on through April 24th, so the end of the day on April 24th, that does get taken down, and it'll be back for sure in September permanently, but this is the opportunity to get it at a discount, get your stuff started over the summer. And then I'm also going to come back and leave the link to our phonics Facebook group. This is a great place to just really focus on phonics if you have questions, if you want to share something, if you want some support with the program materials from sounds to spelling. That's a great place to do it. I do have another Facebook group for sure, my normal K2 literacy Facebook group, but this particular Facebook group is just focused on phonics. So I'll come back and leave the link for you there. Congratulations to Marielle. Hope again I'm saying your name correctly. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, stay healthy, take care of yourself, and thanks so much for watching.